Welcome to our webcast today, Integrating Multiple Technologies into Public Safety Dispatching. I'm Carrie Lasavio, editor of Avtec Public Safety Communications. With me today is another editor with Elsevier Public Safety, Janelle Foskett. I'd like to get us started today by thanking our sponsor, Avtec. Avtec provides Internet protocol-based dispatch console solutions for public safety, transportation, utility, business, and government markets. For more than 30 years, customers have chosen Avtec's award-winning technology for their mission-critical dispatch centers. There are nearly 2,000 Scout voice consoles installed worldwide. We appreciate their support. Now for a few housekeeping notes. To view this webcast, you'll need to turn off the pop-up blocker on your browser. If you want to watch the presentation in full screen mode, click on the button that says Enlarge Slides on the bottom left. This will open a new window. Just be sure you don't close the original window with the webcast console in it. Our speaker will be answering questions and addressing your specific concerns twice during the presentation. However, you can submit a question at any time by typing into the Ask a Question field and clicking Submit Question. That's the Ask a Question field, not chat. We are recording the presentation today, and an archive will be accessible at psc.apcointl.org within 48 hours. We'll provide you with a link at the end of the presentation. Once this webcast has been archived, you can log in as many times as you want or download a PDF of the presentation. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our speakers. Brian Dillingham is the Network and Communications Manager for Buncombe County Government. He's been with Buncombe County for 16 years and has been directly involved with public safety communications for the past 5 years. The IT department's goal has been and continues to be converged networking, and IP is the only standard that it allows for any network systems, from telephony, access and environmental controls, to camera systems, public safety radio, and most recently its adoption of NG911. Also on the line is Kevin Summerall, Avtec's Vice President of National Accounts, a position he has held for more than 4 years. Now let's listen while Brian discusses integrating multiple technologies into public safety dispatching. Brian, take it away.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Brian Dillingham. I'm the Network and Communications Manager with Buncombe County Government in North Carolina. Wanted to start out by giving a little background. In 2008, Buncombe County was faced with building or opened a new dispatch center where we consolidated 3 existing PSAPs into one, and we replaced our 911 telephone system at that time. But we quickly discovered that we were beyond the life of our existing dispatch console system, and we were no longer able to expand, so we had to go out and start looking for a new system that would take us well into the future. We were faced with an aging radio system at the same time, and we took on new communication staff when we opened the facility, and being that IP was the only standard that Buncombe County has, we chose Avtec. Avtec seems to be the largest player in the market, and their components are all IP driven and allow for geographic disbursement on your network, and so that's what the first slide covers. So again, the foundation for the integration is IP. We use wireline and microwave to our sites to move the components around. So we do the best we can to make everything redundant. You can place your controllers anywhere on your network again, and your consoles and your Outpost, which are the units that control radios or four-wire integration, or in our case, the upcoming P25 CSSI integration to our new radio system. A major benefit of deploying and integrating network-based solutions is critical components and interfaces that can be geographically dispersed, decentralizing equipment and reducing the risk of system outages. That's basically the point of this slide. You can see that on our diagram here that various components reside at our data center or at our dispatch center. or our secondary center. So we're able to function if we lose different pieces of equipment, and the equipment functions, the dispatch consoles function the same in the backup and the primary center. Move on to the next slide. This is where we get into how we actually integrate various technologies into the dispatch console system. So aggregating technologies into a common network is certainly a benefit, but access to those technologies can clutter your desktop. So as you can see on this screen here, it's laid out just for one agency, and all the buttons are specific to that agency. However, you can build in additional buttons to call up screens from other agencies. In this particular instance, we have some buttons for door control and camera call up. Thumbnail displays pop up for the door controls, and then a separate pop-up window in the bottom right-hand corner pops up so that you can actually see the cameras before you open a door. All of the door controls and cameras are IP as well. We also are able to integrate our logging recorder into this. So we'll move on. This is just an example of the pop-up window that comes up in the bottom right-hand corner, so that the dispatcher is able to see who's at the door before they open it. In this particular scenario, the dispatch center is about 10 miles away from this office, and they can monitor directly from their screen. It makes it, in a traditional DVR environment, you may only have one monitoring station. A dispatcher can pull it up on any console, anywhere, at either of the PSAP locations, and even more than one at a time. So multiple dispatchers can view the same live video feed on their consoles without having to get up. The pop-up windows also allow, you can control where they pop up on the screen. That's why we have the blue area in this previous screen, so that it does not affect normal operation of the radio itself. So the dispatcher is able to continue to monitor the push-to-talk buttons or any other function that's displayed on the screen, and not have to move the window to view the pop-ups. In our instance, we'll move on to the next slide here. This is an image of our fire dispatch screen. Each screen, again, is built per that agency, but you're able, no matter which console you're at, you can move back and forth between those screens. That obviously increases the screen real estate for that particular agency, but it allows any dispatcher to sit down at any console and operate normally. In this instance, we're highlighting the multi-channel function of our screen. Our radio system is actually hooked in with a four-wire interface, but for our normal channels, but the multi-channel allows us to integrate with other radio systems that are not directly tied to ours. It gives us an over-the-air interface using a control station. In this example, we're using the Avtec Outpost connected to what's called a Zetron iRim, which allows us to integrate with a Motorola 800 system. Many radios technologies use proprietary interfaces, and so we had to come up with a creative solution for the dispatchers to be able to use that particular system. Our largest municipality in Buncombe County utilizes this system, and we wanted to be able to integrate with their radio system. Previously, we could only use a base station on a desk or a portable handheld unit to talk on their system. Today, we can do it from the console. We can patch channels together using the console, so we can patch together one of our traditional analog channels to a trunk to talk group. The Zetron iRim SB9600 is a tone remote converter that allows that to happen with the Avtec Scout. Again, that builds an IP interface. The Zetron and the Avtec Scout are both IP devices. They attach to your IP network, and you can manage them both through a web browser. To further expand on this topic, we also have used the same multi-channel interface or pop-up windows to integrate with traditional base stations. Above the orange screen radio there is a traditional base station that all the other agencies within Buncombe County are conventional VHF systems. Most of them are just single site, and again, this allows us to integrate with those other departments from the console. We're also able to, if our 4-wire interface was down, we can use that same multi-channel functionality to have an over-the-air interface into our radio system. So it provides us yet another level of redundancy. We have multiple base stations set up at any of our tower locations, so that it also protects from a site failure as well. We utilize multipath networks physically and via microwave to keep those sites up and running, and again, it allows us to increase our redundancy and availability. The next step of our integration will be the P25 CSSI interface. Buncombe County is in the middle of an installation of a 12-site digital P25 radio system, of which we hope to have on the air by the end of the year. The Avtec Scout system has a native P25 interface, which allows for direct communication over the IP network without the need for any secondary gateways. The consoles simply sit on your LAN. VP gate is what the consoles talk to, and then the P25 trunking gateway is just a software component on the VP gate. That is redundant as well, so that if you lose that software or a VP gate, the secondary one will take over. And again, it brings you directly into the RFSS controllers, which are also redundant. So utilizing the P25 console subsystem interface, which is CSSI, we'll be able to integrate our digital talk groups into the Scout dispatch system. this after the integration occurs, we will still be able to cross-patch or utilize our existing VHF simulcast system or any of the other systems that we connect to via a control station on our network. At this time, we will be stopping for some questions.
Great. Thanks, Brian. This is a good place for that. And before I get into the questions, I just want to thank our sponsor, Avtec. And the first question that we have comes from Brianna in Colorado. She asks, how are software and or firmware upgrades accomplished in an IP-based system as compared to a legacy centralized analog system?
In our situation, or with the Avtec, all of the software or firmware upgrades are done simply through the web interface. Avtec provides us the software. We're able to upgrade the systems one at a time and bring them right back up online within just a matter of minutes, as opposed to the legacy system where you may actually have to do a serial interface to upgrade. Or in our previous legacy system, we actually had to do an EEPROM chip replacement to upgrade firmware. So this has dramatically reduced the time that it takes to introduce new features or bug fixes. Any other questions?
Yes, we have one more right now. This one comes from David in Georgia. He asks, what impact did geographically distributing your console system have on system administration and modification?
Even though the system is more diverse and spread out over a greater area, the fact that you can upgrade or configure the devices via a web browser has actually sped up the process. It makes it easier to troubleshoot or, again, configure anywhere. We can do it from home via VPN. We can do it from the office or even from a remote site. All of our sites are tied together, so obviously we can be at the furthest leg and attach to back to the central site and do any kind of configuration or upgrades necessary. Are there any other questions?
That's all we have for right now. We'll get to some additional questions at the end of the presentation, so I'll turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. So now we're going to expand just a little bit more on the Zetron or any tone remote or remote base station operation. This shows us a pop-up window of where we've selected the multi-channel interface. We highlight that particular base station, and then it pops up the talk group selection window. So no matter how many talk groups you have, they're defined within the console system, and they're available for the dispatcher's use. And again, the line pads allow you to be able to tie those channels together if necessary, or you can be talking on one channel and monitoring another via your select or unselect audio paths. The next slide is a representation of yet another pop-up window, and this shows how we integrated with a legacy receiver. We had a very old simulcast radio system when we first got the Avtec system, and we were actually able to use an Avtec relay panel to wire into those legacy voters, get indication from them, and also toggle them on and off using the buttons here. This just speaks to the flexibility of the system. So this was about a 12-year-old system that it was connected to before. We've since upgraded, and we're going to upgrade again to the P25 system. But we have, again, the flexibility has allowed us to continue to operate, and it's having these interfaces allows us not to have to replace our console system as we move forward. And maybe we should just take a step back and describe the radio design that we have today. And it may be good to go back to a previous slide. Let's go back to the original slide. We currently have a 6-site simulcast conventional radio system. And again, it is now IP driven, or at least the backhaul is IP driven for that system. The interface from the console system today is purely a 4-wire E&M, but those 4-wire interfaces are IP driven as well. Our expansion to 12 sites will, with the new digital system, will allow the direct interface without the need for the 4-wire E&M interfaces. But again, we'll distribute the components. And I don't know if Kevin has anything to add about this P25 interface or not. We can bring that in.
I think, good afternoon, everybody. This is Kevin Summerall with Avtec. I think Brian is describing his direct wireline interface for the P25 environment. And again, I think the key here that Brian's describing is the overall network architecture that took legacy technologies, conventional radios, as well as being able to adapt to new technologies in the P25 digital world, and tying multiple environments together into a common operating system that will virtually allow his dispatchers to continue to support themselves with their old technology during the migration. And obviously this is something that's very common with the mandate towards narrowbanding, where the transition from legacy technologies into the digital domain is creating a little bit of an upheaval and a support issue for most people. So what Buncombe County has done is simply starting with some basic infrastructure, and then moving forward, they've been able to adapt their old legacy technology into a new environment moving forward.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you for that. And I guess just to expand a little bit more, the narrowbanding is one of the reasons that we've had to move from the 6 to the 12 sites, and of course digital as well has created a need for more sites. But the beauty, of course, of the Avtec system is that no matter how many sites I add, it continues to operate as it does today, and without the need for additional hardware. The CSSI interface being purely a software interface integrates directly with the system, and we can continue to add multiple sites as necessary, add more repeaters as necessary, talk groups as necessary, and the Avtec system continues to scale to meet our needs. Very, very scalable system. Back to this screen again, where I've just shown some legacy receiver control. Again, the flexibility is here with the relay panels to also do your site monitoring, site alarms, if door contact alarms, anything that you want to monitor can be presented on the screen. In our case, we don't monitor that we don't let the dispatchers monitor those particular things, because we feel like it kind of distracts them from their traditional duties. But you have that flexibility with the Avtec system and with the Avtec relay panels to do that. So once again, tying multiple technologies into this common and operating environment just simply it simplifies access and control. Now we're going to just take a minute to talk about the interface with the phone. So our dispatchers prefer to use one headset, and to do so we use the NENA interface. And the NENA interface allows us to tie the audio or tie the console into our 911 phone system. So obviously all of our audio, whether it be radio or phone, comes through the Avtec Scout console. It's one less thing for the dispatcher to have to do, one less button they have to push. They're able to easily, with the lapel mic or the push-to-talk button, select a radio interface, dispatch an ambulance, or this is our ambulance screen. It could be fire trucks, police cars, and release the button and be talking with the caller again. This allows, for very, very quick dispatch and response time without the need to transfer someone that may be in a critical situation between multiple dispatchers. It's a very simple interface to set up and use, and it again allows us to the dispatcher to have that common interface. We're going to show you an example of a dispatch console. As you see, the dispatcher here only has on one headset, and she's able to touch the phone with her touch the radio with her left hand, and touch the phone with her right. Everything's touchscreen and mouse driven at the same time. So no matter what the dispatcher chooses to do or is comfortable operating the system, it's completely up to them. With our CAD in the middle, they have a full panoramic view of everything they need to do. Everything's within arm's reach, and they're able to dispatch and talk with the callers at the same time. They're also able to hear additional field units in their ear or other dispatchers talking no matter where they are in the room. So if you have this dispatcher in this seat and you have another dispatcher across the room, they can hear, as long as they're on the same channel, they can hear what the other dispatcher is saying to the field unit, and all this does is increase the information sharing between dispatchers. Step back for just a minute. We're going to push on through to this final slide here, and then we can step back and go through some more questions. This is just a simple diagram of how we integrate the dispatch consoles with Active Directory. Many of you may wonder how how to manage these, how to manage the consoles in your environment. We simply use Microsoft products and Microsoft Active Directory to push common settings to the machines, so that some of the problems you may run into are screensavers or things that could interfere with dispatch. So we're able to create a kiosk. Basically, we create a kiosk that's only that only the Avtec software runs on, and that nothing else can access. There's no other, with the exception of pop-ups that bring up the camera call-ups or any environmental controls. There's no other way to access the internet on the machines. There's no other way to otherwise damage the machine, since they all run centrally managed antivirus. All the Windows updates occur at specific times without a reboot. The dispatcher actually has to reboot the console for all of those things to take place. So it also allows us to more quickly replace a dispatch console if there's a problem anytime, day or night. If a piece of hardware fails, within about 10 minutes, we can have a bare metal box back on the desk and running the Scout software again, and that dispatch console is back in operation. Those are some of the caveats or problems you may run into as you move forward with this system, is just simply managing those fine settings to keep this consoles up and running. And it just, again, it speaks to the flexibility of the Scout system. Runs on a traditional PC and integrates with your existing network. We're going to move on to the second part of our questions. So we're moving on to the second part of our questions.
All right, yes, we do have some questions coming in. The first one is from Anthony in Massachusetts. He says, excuse me, how much more training in IT topics did the dispatchers need to better use the system and to help troubleshoot problems?
Let me go back. The dispatchers, from our perspective, did not need a lot more training. We set up the console system to be similar to what they were used to seeing in the past. Again, it was the flexibility of the Scout system allows us to do that. And because we're creating a more of a kiosk type environment, if there's a problem, they just call our help desk and we remote in and to begin to troubleshoot the issues. But the actual training for console use, once we built the screens, was about 3 hours per dispatcher or per session, where we may have multiple dispatchers in the training session at once. Hope that answered that question.
Yes. We have a question here coming in from Kim in Kansas. She wants to know, does the Scout freeze up very often, requiring a restart?
Good question. No, it does not. We very rarely have a problem. And again, I think that speaks to the way that we have the console set up more in a kiosk mode, where you turn on the console, it automatically boots up. The only thing that's on the desktop is just an icon for the console for the Scout system, but the dispatcher doesn't even have to click that. It launches Scout automatically. and it's right there available for their use. So again, there's very, very little problems we have with the Scout software.
Great. Now we have a question coming in from Frank in Connecticut. He asks, will the Zetron iRim allow Zetron FSA to interface with the Avtec console?
I'm unfamiliar with the Zetron FSA. Kevin, do you have any familiarity?
Yes, I will. I'll address that. Thank you, Brian. Frank, thanks for the question. And no, the Zetron iRim is an audio device that takes tone remote analog audio inputs and converts it to a specific format to talk to an SB 9600, like a SmartNet Smart Zone type application. But it does not have any of the control mechanisms in it to be an interface into the fire station alerting system. Thank you. In our case, we use a traditional alerting tone alerting system, and it's done from the console. The paging tones, and I don't know if, again, I'm not familiar with the Zetron FSA, but the tones are generated within the Avtec Outpost and sent over the air to alert the specific station. So hopefully that answers it.
Yes, definitely. Our next question is from David in California. He asks, can telephone calls be interfaced and included with radios in direct real-time conferences?
Yes, the answer is yes. We do not do that, but the answer is yes. We have tested that.
Okay, sounds good. Now we have a question coming in from William in Washington. He asks, can you please clarify the NENA interface for telephony?
Yes. So your 911 phone systems, whether it be a Plan or a Positron or any of the other ones out there, have an interface for integration with radio consoles, and that's the NENA standard is what defines that interface. So that's how we connect directly from the Scout to our 911 phone system. It allows for the push to talk and the muting when you press the button. So a traditional phone, so if you were trying to interface with a traditional PBX, there may not be a NENA interface.
All right. We have a question here from Mark in South Carolina. He asks, can you be more specific about the other vendors you are using today and going to use in the future with your new 700 megahertz P25 system?
I'm not sure which vendors we're talking about, but the system that we're in the process of installing as far as the 700 megahertz is the Cassidian. It's a Cassidian P25 trunked system, and they're our technology partner for radio moving forward. As far as other vendors may go, if we're speaking to the 911 integration, we're using a Positron. Hopefully that answered that question.
Yes, thank you. Now we have one coming in from Sam in Arizona. He asks, do you have to have a digital radio system for this to interface properly?
No, you do not. Again, you can interface over the air with the Avtec Outpost, can interface with almost any base station, and it can be controlled over the air, or if your analog radio system like ours just has a 4-wire E&M interface, that connects directly to the Avtec Outpost as well to be able to control the channel.
Okay.
And today we have an analog system that we're using.
Great. So now we have one coming in from Mike in North Carolina. He asks, will the new 700-800 P25 radio system be interoperable with the statewide 800 megahertz Viper system?
Today, we have our system is currently connected to the state Viper system, the statewide system using a Zetron iRim and one of the base stations. The new 700, 800 P25 radio system will be interoperable with the 800 Viper system when they get to be directly interoperable when they get to be P25. So if Viper adopts the P25 standard, we could theoretically link the systems together using IP. But again, today
I'm sorry, Brian, if I can suggest, there may be many that aren't aware of what the Viper system is. Would you just briefly describe that for us?
Sure. In North Carolina, as in I'm sure many states, we have a statewide radio system, and in North Carolina it is called the Viper system. And basically they have sites all over the state in 800 megahertz linked together. And after we purchased the Avtec, that was the first time that we were able to link the console directly into that system with the Zetron iRim, instead of having to have a dedicated handheld or base station at the dispatcher's desk to be able to talk on that system. And that may be a challenge that others in other states will have.
And Brian, just to clarify, that Viper 800 system is a SmartNet system?
Yes. Today it is a SmartNet system.
Okay, so it's not a P25 digital system, but it's a SmartNet system, which is a proprietary protocol.
That is correct. So the Avtec gives us the flexibility to interface with that system.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, looks like we've got one more question here. This is from John in Florida. He asks, have you experienced any changes in audio quality moving from analog to digital or when patching the two technologies?
If anything, our audio quality is better. We're able to adjust levels for the dispatchers and on devices remotely so that we can do, we have a wider range and flexibility in adjustment than we did before. When patching technologies, you always can run into problems with audio delay, especially going from a conventional system to a trunk system, where on a conventional system you don't have a go-ahead tone. It's just instantly transmitting, and then on the you have to wait for the go-ahead tone. So you can build in delays and things to sometimes compensate for that. But again, we have so many controls at our disposal for audio quality. We can boost levels as necessary to make that clear for the dispatcher to hear.
Great. Well, that's all the questions that we have. Thank you very much, Brian and Kevin. Carrie, I'll hand it back over to you for now.
Thanks, Janelle. Brian, before I take us into our wrap-up here, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share, any summary?
Well, I think we have a summary here. So, sorry, I've gone too far. So, in summary, we've leveraged the IP backbone as a means of integrating and distributing technology. We've implemented a console system that supports integration of many types of radio technologies. Again, the fact that we've integrated very old analog conventional systems to the new P25 system that we're getting ready to install just goes to show the flexibility of the Avtec Scout system. And then consolidated applications within the console, improved dispatcher interfaces to those solutions. We're able to, again, we deliver not camera systems and interface with our phone system, our access control system, and then again, should you choose, you can integrate various types of alarms or anything into the console system that you feel would be valuable for you or your dispatch center. I believe that's all that I have.
Well, thank you, Brian. Kevin, did you have anything you wanted to add before I wrap us up?
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize that IP has become what we'll consider the great equalizer when it comes to the integration of multiple technologies, whether those are the legacy type or the new P25 or digital mobile radio standards that are being put forth today. Once things are brought into the network, we're able then to create a common voice communication platform that allows us to link all of those different technologies together. And that's really, I think, the basis or the foundation, as Brian said right up front, for the simplicity of integrating all of these technologies. So telephony becomes no different than radio. They become portable across the network so they can be accessed from anywhere. But it also becomes a very distributed architecture that allows you to locate components anywhere across the network, mitigating the risk of either significant component failures in a single location, mitigating the risk of a loss of a specific site. So the foundation behind all of this is moving things into the IP domain so that we can distribute much more easily. You can access things more easily using web-type browsers for administrative purposes, using distributed alarm access, things that were very difficult in the analog world, which also required a significant amount of support from an analog perspective, wiring, relay connections, motor connections. Again, these things were very labor intensive. And today, working in the IP domain, things become much more transportable and portable across the network. So I think the key here is when you look at integrating multiple technologies, how can you bring those things into a common network architecture, distribute them for risk mitigation and loss of services, but also leverage the network that you have today so that you can get a better investment or return on investment in your existing network, because we all know as you add applications to your existing network, your ROI on that network investment is significantly improved. So by moving all of this into the network, we have an added benefit.
I think that is. Sorry. I was just going to say I think that is a very, very important point. Again, it has saved us a significant amount of money to leverage one network, to not have to maintain traditional analog circuits or anything like that, to get down to one, just getting down to one cabling plan or one has significantly improved. It's improved and simplified our operations. There's so much less to keep track of anymore. It allows staff to focus efforts on other things rather than keeping track of so many fine details. Right. And it's also allowed us to leverage more staff than we've been able to do in the past. As it becomes more and more IP centric or PC centric, you're able to utilize, from our perspective, more of our IT staff to support this, and it's not quite as specialized as it used to be, where just the radio guy or just the telephone guy was able to support the system. And it's the console system has really kind of moving the same way telephony did several years ago. I'll hand it back to you, Kevin. Sorry.
Very good. No, I'm set. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody taking the time today, and I'll turn it back over to the moderator.
Well, thank you both very much. And for my part, I'd like to thank Avtec for making this possible. Avtec is actually conducting a survey of public safety communications personnel and would like our audience's participation. To thank you for your participation in this survey, the company will be making a donation to the Children's Miracle Network on your behalf. Please complete the survey by going to the URL, which is now on your screen. You can click on it in the pop-up window. If you're interested in talking with an Avtec representative and are planning to attend the APCO International 78th Annual Conference and Expo in Minneapolis 2 weeks from now, you can go to www.avtecinc.com/APCO to request a face-to-face appointment, and Avtec will provide you with a free exhibit hall pass valued at $105. So if you're going to the conference, this is a great way to make your dollar stretch. Also, please let us know what you thought about this presentation. We're sending you another URL here for this. I know we're giving you quite a few here, but we'd appreciate your response to these surveys. So before everyone logs off, I want to remind you that the presentation will be archived within 24 to 48 hours. You can get those through http://psd.apcointl.org/webcast. Anyway, you'll also be receiving the URL and a email post-presentation here, so you don't need to remember this one. Please share this presentation with your colleagues. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time.